Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Felines have been a vital part of the Monster Hunter series since the very beginning, serving as merchants, chefs, farmers, and many other professions. Monster Hunter 4 and 4 Ultimate gave hunters the ability to hire felines to assist them in hunts, and these became known as palicos. Later in Monster Hunter Generations, they expanded the role of felines in Monster Hunter even more by introducing the Prowler, a palico imbued with the spirit of a hunter, meaning that you could play as a prowler rather than a hunter. Prowler became the 15th weapon of Monster Hunter Generations, equipped with a combination of melee attacks, ranged weapons, and special support moves that make for a seriously fun moveset. However, Prowler in Generations was not as well received as it should have been. It became viewed as the girlfriend or little brother weapon, or the weapon you would give to someone so they could play, but stay out of your way and not die. This video is going to go over some of the reasons why Prowlers didn't appeal to many, how those can be addressed, and talk about why Sunbreak, or even future Monster Hunter games, need to bring this back and permanently make it the 15th weapon in the series, or at the very least a portable series mainstay. The main reason that Prowlers were not well received is that making a Prowler was extremely complicated. As an example, when you make a hunter in Generations, there isn't much you have to worry about when you start a game. You create your hunter, choose your hunting style that you can change at any point, choose your weapon from the item box in your home, and that's it. For Prowlers, you first need to choose a good palico, which means you have to scout for one that has good support moves and good palico skills. Then, you also need to choose the support type, which is like the palico version of hunter arts, however you can't change them after you hire the palico. Each of the support types have different abilities, like bomber palicos have an adept evade and gathering palicos have an extra boomerang, so choosing the support type is what determines the best playstyle for your Prowler. Keep in mind all of this is before you even go on your first hunt, so just from this brief example you can see the amount of effort needed to make a Prowler. And this description is just scratching the tip of the iceberg of the complicated system Prowlers have. It is no exaggeration to say that Prowlers have system on top of system on top of system that you have to have a familiarity with in order to make a Prowler that can hunt a monster without timing out. Unlike hunters, palicos have a level that affects the amount of damage and defense they have. Palicos also have a unique skill and support move system, where palicos have skills built into them that can't be altered or changed by armor. These skills and moves are randomly. In Generations it is possible to change the skills and support moves a palico has, but that involves another complicated system that requires a special codex to get the specific skills and moves you want, otherwise you would have to hope you get the skill you want from one of the random skills in that table. The worst part about the extremely overcomplicated nature of Prowlers was that the game didn't tell you anything about these systems. So if you were a new player or someone who just wanted to pick up Prowler without knowing about these systems, you would just give up because the Prowlers didn't do good damage. This complicated system that was never explained to players is the main reason that Prowler just never got the love and attention it deserved. So how can this be fixed so Prowler can become much more easily accessible to players? The main way to address the issues with Prowlers seems to come from its design philosophy. Even with the menus, it feels like Prowler was designed to be a different fighting class than hunters. Prowlers had their own version of hunter styles and arts with the support types and support moves, a different system for leveling your character, changing how skills work, and many other differences. I don't think the solution is to remove that separation between hunters and Prowlers, or make Prowlers a weapon instead of a different class, but I think the best solution is to simply simplify the system. The Prowler system did its best to include every single aspect of palicos into its design, however, that just made it feel too cluttered and messy, and forced you to spend hours making a good Prowler. I think it would be best to cut back on some of the features of palicos. In Generations, palicos had different stats and play styles depending on the support type. Some had more defense than others, some had more attack, some built their support gauge faster, and many other stats. Going forward, I think the best thing to do would be to unify those support types so they all have the same stats when in Prowler mode. Another way I think the Prowler system can be made simpler is to change some of the user interface elements while in Prowler mode. As I mentioned earlier, Palicos and Prowlers have a leveling system that determines their defense, strength, and other factors. While you're in Prowler mode, the only way to really see your stats like defense and attack in the same way that hunter stats are presented is in the status menus. So, rather than constantly checking the status menus to understand the weapon damage and armor defense means for your Prowler at that level, I think it should change the generic values shown to the value that your Prowler would have with that piece of equipment. The last area that Prowler can be adjusted is with healing. As a Prowler, you have no access to the item pouch, meaning that you have no access to potions of any kind. In order to heal, you either have to pick a healing Palico as a base or trade skills to make sure you have some kind of healing horn, and then spam that horn over and over again until you're at full health. This process takes a very long time, and especially if you are a lower level Prowler, you end up having to go through this process very often to heal. Prowlers do have 2 acorns that heal them when they lose all their health, but those acorns only recover a third of their health. The best way to solve this problem is to make the acorns recover full health, or give every Prowler access to an item that heals a significant amount of health. In Monster Hunter Rise, Palicos have a flask that they can drink to recover their health, so I think this item should be given as an extra default support move for Prowlers so they can heal without using up a support skill slot. There are obviously a lot of other changes that can be made to simplify the Prowler system, but these are just some of the areas that I can see need to be simplified, and I still only have a pretty limited understanding of how Prowlers work. Just listening to this video alone may give you the impression that the Prowler system was just a bad system in Generations, but Prowler was an amazing playstyle. While the system was very complicated and not beginner-friendly, it was very customizable and had many interesting facets. So now the big question remains, why does Prowler need to come back? While many people didn't engage with the Prowler system, it was still the origin for many of the quality of life changes that 5th Gen added. Palicos had access to infinite pickaxes and bug nets, and they also had no need for items, so people often used Prowlers to gather items and materials that they needed without having to worry about running out of item space or running out. Another aspect that was influenced by Prowler mode was infinite whetstones, since Prowlers didn't have to worry about sharpness. Another reason why this mode needs to come back is because of the role Felynes plays in the Monster Hunter universe. Like I mentioned at the beginning, Felynes have been in the game since the very beginning, right there alongside the hunter. The 4th generation introduced a more direct relationship with hunters and Felynes through the Palico, and then later expanded that relationship even more with the Prowler, introducing a brand new way to experience the world of Monster Hunter. But, unfortunately, 5th Gen cut back on the role of Palicos, especially in Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter Generations introduced many new ways to experience the game, and Prowler was the most unique of those new experiences. Something people have been asking for specifically with Rise are those new experiences, new ways to face monsters, and new interactions apart from the same system we have had for multiple generations, and Prowler mode is one of the best ways to make those while using something known and beloved by the community. Anyways, that's why I think Prowler mode should be brought back into the series. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, since I had to do a ton of research on Prowlers, and I barely scratched the surface of what is there. If you did, then please share this around and check out some of the other stuff I made, and if you can, then please subscribe to my channel too. Playing Generations Ultimate again for this video got me feeling pretty nostalgic for old school Monster Hunter, so next week's video will probably be another video about old school features coming back. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.